Wanderstop is a narrative-driven cozy game where you manage a tea shop and serve a wide variety of eclectic characters, letting you do all the fun, relaxing things cozy games have to offer, like gardening, decorating, and fighting through your own debilitating emotional trauma. It's the first title from indie studio Ivy Road and was published by Annapurna Interactive, or as I like to call them, a game publishing studio if they were owned by Squilliam Fancy Son. In addition, this game was written and directed by Davey Redden, the mastermind behind the Stanley Parable and The Beginner's Guide. Man, he really should have called this game The Wanderstop to keep the series of the games going. When I first booted up Wanderstop, I was readily expecting a meta experience similar to Redden's previous games. I was also expecting my every move to be scrutinized by a posh British man. If you're expecting something as self-aware as the Stanley Parable, you're probably going to be disappointed if you played this game. There's absolutely nothing fourth wall breaking here. But Wanderstop does an interesting job at subverting the themes, vibes, and even the mechanics of other traditional chill games like Animal Crossing or Stardew Valley. And no, it doesn't use cheap horror subversion like hyper-realistic blood pouring out of your screen or having you serve someone tea made from eyeballs and gray matter. Truthfully, Wanderstop's cozy mechanics are probably the weakest part of the entire game, and I don't necessarily mean that as a bad thing. Aside from gardening and tea making, which is almost all you do in this game, most things are exceptionally basic. Which is a really good thing for me. If a game is too complex, it stresses out the one brain cell I have left.
Nobody knows my sorrow.
As this is a game with a heavy narrative focus, the best part of Wanderstop is its cast of characters. Every customer has a unique personality that jumps right out of the screen, and all of them are so beautifully written. There were a lot of interactions that were pretty funny and quite a few that genuinely brought a tear to my eye. While not a customer, the owner of the tea shop, Boro, was easily my favorite character. On the surface, he seems like a relatively simple man, but as you get to know him more and more, it's obvious he is an exceptionally wise individual. I love this dude to bits. Honestly, he's great. He's so wholesome, he's kind, and he's so accepting, and he doesn't have any of the toxic positivity that a lot of characters in these kind of games tend to have. The biggest gimmick, for lack of a better term, with Wanderstop is how it presents the traditional framework of other games like it. All of these chill life sim games are touted as being relaxing experiences. Halia is a big one I personally really enjoy, and I actually did just pick up Hello Kitty Island Adventure, and I have to say, Butters was absolutely right. This game is way better than World of Warcraft ever was. You know, sometimes when I play a game, all I want to do is fish or gather trinkets, odds and ends, that sort of thing. Just shut my brain off and vibe out for a few hours. But not everybody gets the same dopamine hit from these kinds of games. And that's kind of the whole point of Wanderstop. In Wanderstop, you take the role of Alta, a celebrated warrior and tournament fighter who, after years of victories and accomplishments, suddenly finds herself unable to fight or even lift the sword she's used for years. To figure out what's wrong with her and hopefully fix it, she reluctantly agrees to work with the lovable Boro in an attempt to finally relax after a lifetime of bone-breaking work. In every conceivable way, she honestly is the worst person for this job. I mean, you know, I can relate. My hungry ass could never work at a Home Depot. Oh my god, I love eating drywall. The lupus. Alta is someone who lives for the thrill of fighting. Conflict, strife, and even pain are rejuvenating to her. She wants to be in the heat of battle, not tending to the delicacies of running a peaceful tea shop. Right from the start, Alta's entire character is a commentary on how these cozy, wholesome games really aren't for everyone. You would think with how lovable and cutesy and chill they are that they would appeal to everybody, but honestly, that's not the case. A lot of people relax by chugging 3 monsters back to back and fragging noobs on Call of Duty, you know, playing literal garbage. And as much as I do enjoy these kind of games, there are times when I get bored of them and would rather spend my time committing horrible war crimes in Warframe or blowing people up with rubber ducks in Hitman. Wholesome, fun stuff like that. And to some degree, I find many of these calming games to be more stressful than something like a first-person shooter or a survival horror game. Take Stardew Valley, for example. Maintaining your farm and keeping up with all of your relationships, it just starts to pile up in my brain and makes the game feel more like work than a distraction from reality.
I mean, you can't even take care of yourself in real life, let alone a video game.
On a self-referential level, this is what Alta as a character is about, but she and the rest of this game are much more than a meta-commentary on video game genres. One big aspect of cozy games is that if you're enough of a gamer, you can optimize your world to be a well-oiled machine. For real, I've seen Stardew Valley farms and Animal Crossing islands that look more like Soviet work camps than peaceful and relaxing locales. Take my word for it, she's not joking around. And you know what? You won't regret it. I've got tons of videos where I review all kinds of games, both good and bad. Plus, I've also started live streaming every Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time right here on this channel.
I am a colossal dumbass.
So if you don't want to miss out on all that fun stuff, be sure to hit that subscribe button. It genuinely does help out the channel a lot, and I do appreciate it very much.
Shameless plug over.
Wanderstop doesn't really let you optimize things at all. The game forcefully has a lot of tedium baked into its mechanics to keep you from having total mastery over everything. Wanderstop's central team-making mechanic is the perfect example of this. Every customer has their own specific tastes, and they'll all want something different, but you can only ever have one flavor of tea going at any given time, forcing you to constantly discard what you've made and brew something entirely new. And that's not counting your other chores. There's always going to be weeds to trim, crops to grow, and not to mention the customers always leaving their teacups all over the place. Just hand them back to me. You don't need to walk 20 feet in some random direction to set the cup on a random ass table. I'm standing right here. Anyway, as strange as this sounds, Wanderstop's tedium is probably one of the most effective aspects of this entire game. And you know, if constantly doing boring chores was this fun in Wanderstop, maybe I should give Death Stranding another shot. People always say the game gets really good after the first 10 hours, but if your game takes 10 hours to get good, then I don't know, maybe it's just dog shit. During my playthrough, I desperately wanted to find out what was wrong with Alta, so much so that I was trying, fruitlessly, to rush through the final moments of the game as fast as I could, just so I could reach the game's conclusion. It wasn't until I was nearing the end of the game that I had a bit of a realization. I was doing exactly what Alta would be doing in this situation. Throughout all of the game, she constantly remarks on how much she wants to leave the tea shop and return to her life as a fighter, that she would do anything to just snap her fingers and have everything be back to normal. And that's exactly what I was doing as the player. I was getting tired of making increasingly more asinine cups of tea and keeping up with menial chores. I just wanted to reach the end to see how it all played out. When I had this aha moment, I immediately felt deeply connected to Alta as a character and way more immersed in the story. Wanderstop's story touches on a lot of heavy subjects. This game really is a lot like therapy, which is great because my health insurance is straight buns and I can't afford an actual therapist.
God knows you need one.
While there are a lot of emotions at play, Wanderstop really has one central theme: acceptance. The desire to be accepted by the ones we love. The desire to accept ourselves even with our shortcomings, and even learning to accept that no matter what, life is going to change and there's really nothing you can do about it. This is a little bit of a bare my heart moment, but like many people around the world, I have suffered from mental illness for a large portion of my life. I am very cognizant of my own shortcomings, and I would be lying to you if I just said, no, there's nothing of myself that I would change. I'm perfect. No, nobody's perfect. I wish I was more social, more jovial. I wish I had more self-confidence in myself. I wish I had a better body. I mean, there is a lot of self-doubt in my brain. and it's self-doubt that even ekes its way into my videos. I am very much my own worst critic. Every video I make, every stream I host, hell, every post I make on my community tab on this channel, I scrutinize under a microscope because I want to make the best content I can for all of you that are so generous to watch and subscribe. But you know what? This is me. My imperfections don't define me, but the actions I take to improve upon them do, and while I still occasionally have some storm clouds that hang over my head, I am absolutely in a much better place than I was, hell, just a few years ago. But no matter how hard we try, there are times when life just has a different plan for us, and there's nothing we can do about it. It was this part of Wanderstop's story that I resonated with the most, mainly because I've witnessed it firsthand. This is exactly what happened with my grandmother right before she passed away. She was one of the strongest people I've ever known, and all it took was one freak accident to strip away her independence for the rest of her life. This right here, this is what makes Wanderstop so great. It doesn't sugarcoat. It doesn't beat around the bush. It won't feed you fake positivity and tell you that everything will be okay. Because not everything will be okay, and there are times, yes, when life just does suck. But it does teach you that one valuable lesson that so many of us struggle to learn: acceptance. Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like and let me know what you thought of the video and Wanderstop down in the comments below. And be sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss another video. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next one. Take care.